quick question before I go. Because this is coming up, and the next time we meet, I want to ask you about what you think. The vaccine. Are you taking it?
I'll take it if it works. If I feel that the doctors have all gotten their opinions behind it, and they think, you know what it is like an mRNA vaccine, this new vaccine. It makes your body think that it doesn't introduce actual COVID into your system and you fight it off. It makes your body think that it's COVID, and your body builds the proper proteins to fight it off.
Oh, that's interesting.
The guy explained it to us yesterday, Nicholas Christakis. He's from Yale.
He's a soybean boy. He likes soybean.
No, he doesn't. He's a good man. He thinks
he's a soybean boy.
He's a great man, and I won't let you disparage him like that.
No, I'm not disparaging him. He's certain niggas a soybean motherfucker. He's soybean.
He's a doctor.
Okay, Dr. Soybean.
Anyway, he thinks the vaccine will be very effective, and even if it doesn't keep you from getting it, it'll prevent or hopefully prevent you from getting a bad case of it. I don't know though.
So what would you need? Would you need just the consensus of a body of doctors you trust
and people's experiences? Because people have already taken it. So if people have taken it, like, what is the experience? They say that they had they felt like shit for a few days. That's it. Yeah. Now, is that true? I mean, who are they? Have you talked to them? What's a few days? And what do you mean by feel like shit? Like, did you try running 4 days later and you still felt terrible? Like.
So wait, apparently they're distributing this vaccine almost now, right?
I don't think it's totally ready, but it very soon will be ready. And if it's effective, they're going to encourage people to take it. It makes people real nervous.
They're going to have it for like doctors and like essential people at the beginning of it. You know?
First. And then it's going to probably people that are high risk, like older
but the
folks.
thing is, it's going to have people have a sense of like there is something that could be done now. Like it's a sense of hope. It's a sense of progress. It's a sense of like, you know, it was at one time where we didn't even have a thought of a vaccine. Now we got competitors and shit. So people to think different.
Listen, if it works, we should take it. But I know how people get real nervous about that
Black people
kind of
don't
shit.
fuck with vaccines. I told you that, son.
How do you feel about
Dave,
it?
black people don't fuck with no vaccines, Dave.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's inconclusive because your caveat was, I'd take it if I felt safe about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the thing.
Don't you feel like that same way?
Well, of course. But so now, you know, for the first time, we're learning how the process of a drug, you know, going through trials. We're learning this literally as a nation. We're all watching this thing take place.
And an accelerated version of it.
Because
usually a vaccine takes multiple years to develop.
Yeah.
So this is really quick. To be able to have something this quick and turn it around. And
it's like those movies
effective.
where they find a cure by the end and you're like, oh, that's bullshit. They're doing it.
Well,
not a cure, but a vaccine. It's a big deal.
The good thing is, if another one comes around, they're going to be more prepared to do something like this quicker.
Right.
I think people needed to really understand that in our lifetime, something can kill the world's economy and kill hundreds of thousands of people here and 1 million people worldwide.
I think everybody understood
I think we knew it, but I don't think we really expected it.
Right. No, they knew it. The Obama administration had prepared for precisely that eventuality.
Sure. But I mean us.
Of course, yeah. We couldn't wrap our mind around it.
Even if they told you, even if you watched Bill Gates' speech at TED Talk in 2015, you would never internalize it and think there's a pandemic coming. Now we know.
Nobody.
Now we know there is. Now we're going to want to invest in the medical infrastructure to make sure that they prepare better next time. This is hopefully people are going to learn from this.
100%. People know
glass half full.
Nothing is going to be new. There's nothing going to be new about it.
No.
Well, the debate is largely philosophical, right? I mean, to this end, there's two schools of thought. One school of thought is it's just going to be what it's going to be, and you got to keep moving. Like, why close anything? And the other school of thought, which I thought was, you know, this is more than just a philosophy. It was a science.
Right.
Remember, the premise when they locked us up was we have to wait to catch up to our medical infrastructure.
Yeah.
So we don't overburden our medical infrastructure. We got to suppress the disease till we can build up the infrastructure. And they gave us an early estimate of 2 weeks. This is how a comedian does. When a comedian's doing a real long set, he goes, one more thing before I go. And then he does that 4 or 5 times and you realize, oh, this guy's going to do another hour.
Oh, yeah, that's so fucking rude.
Yeah, but you know that trick?
Yeah.
That's what the pandemic, the quarantine felt like. 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks. Maybe we'll open bars and, you know, that kind of shit.
But there's no way to control it other than create it yourself, right?
What do you mean?
Like the whole vibe of the scene, right?
The vibe of which scene?
The pandemic. You said, how do we get used to it? What can we do about it?
Well, he's also saying, here's the thing. We never signed up to let people tell us that we can and can't take risks or go to work. And by saying that if you do it, you're going to kill other people, that's what changed the game.
Right.
And so everybody has to figure out how much of that they're willing to accept and how much of that are they not, and whether or not they're willing to take a shot, take this vaccine without, knowing the long-term effects of it, or worrying about the long-term effects of it. And some people are naturally averse to taking any kind of medication. They don't want to do it. And other people are like, if you tell me it's good and all the doctors agree
Right.
and that it will help mankind, I'll fucking do it. That's how I feel. Listen, polio, okay? Shit doesn't exist anymore. Smallpox doesn't exist anymore, at least not in the numbers that it used to,
Yeah, but
right?
you got the old vaccine for that. That's
but
the
that's
old vaccine.
because of vaccines. Like the idea that vaccines have done bad things only, or that they're dangerous only, it's crazy. Like vaccines are the responsible for the giant population
It's not
of people.
vaccines. I think at the core of this is you just trust.
Yes.
Do you trust these sources? And people realize that they're at the mercy of someone that they don't necessarily trust.
Right.
That's the rub.
Well, maybe
Don't
that's the problem.
touch your own face and don't go outside. I'll tell you when to come out. 'Cause love a renowned liar.
Yeah. Right.
It's a tough one. That was a tough one. Especially here, it goes touches something really sore in the core of an American's identity. Like you said, how can you tell me to do this?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. This was a tough one here.
It's a weird one. It makes us redefine what it is to be a person. Like if all of a sudden you have other people that got elected into a position of power. That's all they did. They won a popularity contest, and they're dictating whether things go this way or that way. And they don't necessarily have the right answer. They just have their own answer. And Dallas is doing it different than this town. And, Washington State's doing it different than Nevada. Everyone's doing it different.
But everybody's trying to do it also.
Yeah, but governors can tell you what you can and can't do. It gets real weird. And I get it. They're trying to keep the hospital numbers down. But you told us it was going to be 2 weeks. Like you guys said 2 weeks, and now here we are like 9 months later, and everyone's just waiting only for a vaccine.
I'm not speaking about, if it's right, if it's wrong. I'm not speaking about it like that. I'm just saying whatever it was, that was very difficult.
Yeah.
That was very difficult.
Very difficult.
I was fine. But not knowing when you can work, not being able to move around, not being able to see my mother. You would have never thought. If someone had told me 11 months ago, even the night before, the last night we went on tour, where we were in Milwaukee.
Yes, it was Paps.
And the last show, it was the last night between shows, right? It's a 2-show night. And the energy had changed. It went from festive to like, people looked worried when I got off stage. And Tom Hanks had it, the one NBA guy who had touched everything and had it. And then the horn starts ringing that they're going to shut the country down. I literally go, that's impossible. What are you going to shut down the world? It's impossible. This is what I thought. My initial reaction. But the energy changed. Now I go out and do the second show, and immediately, I wasn't even thinking about this shit earlier that night. I come out on stage, everybody reach their hand, hey, and I thought about it. Okay, I start, shaking people's hands.
Oh, worried.
But yeah, it was but
Yeah.
The day before, wouldn't have even been concerned about it. Went into the green room for 40 minutes and talked to people who've been glued to the television watching the news, and then they scared the shit out of me. My behavior changed almost instantly. It was interesting. I don't want to get too heavy. I'm only hanging out for a
No,
minute.
man. There ain't no
it's
such thing.
It's not too heavy. That's exactly how I felt about it too. I remember I shook a dude's hand on a flight. I was flying to Vegas for the fights. It was like one of the last fights before they shut it down. And some dude goes, I don't know, you want to shake hands? I go, I'll shake your hand. And we shook hands. He had a mask on already. And I was like,
prepared for
wow. He was ready to go down. I think this was the very beginning of March.
This was the first time I had been tested in any capacity was when I did your show that time. That was the first time I had an antibody test or anything.
I would have never expected that here we would be deep into November. And we're all still kind of locked down.
When this started, you lived in LA. You had no plans to come here.
Yeah, you're in Texas.
Think about it.
motherfucker.
Your whole life has changed. What's interesting about this time, which is another thing we should talk about next time it comes, is that in mass, it feels like we're rewriting our social contracts. You know, the whole thing. And COVID is an accelerant on this process that I could have never imagined.
Yeah.
You know, they're locked inside, man. People are stuck in a house with their choices. Do you like your house? Do you like who you're with? Do you like these things you've accumulated? I hope you like them because you're stuck with them. I make great choices. I like my choices. You know, when I was faced with it like that, I was like, whew, I had it much better than many people. But imagining people doing that in mass, it's pretty powerful. It's a pretty powerful thought. What does this do to a society? This type of isolation
and almost forced reflection.
Yeah, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. And we've always talked about how life is a rat race, right? People get stuck in this rat race. It feels never ending. It's not good that all these people lost their jobs. It's not good that all these people are going to lose where they live.
No,
but
not at all.
It might help some people recognize that if you just keep going in this rat race, it never ends. You got to figure out a way out. And now is a better time to figure out a way out than ever, because you kind of have to. You kind of have to. And society, as it existed 10 months ago, it's not the same place.
It's not the same.
What's the country that there's a country, maybe somewhere in South Pacific or something, that measures their success as a nation with what they call their gross national happiness. Just a totally different premise.
What country is that?
I can't remember. Maybe you Google gross national happiness.
Jamie will figure it out.
Thanks, fingers.
It says Bhutan.
There it is, Bhutan. There you go. This is a real principle. It's a philosophy that guides the government. Think about this. This is a philosophy that guides the government of Bhutan. It includes an index which is used to measure the collective happiness. This is the metric that they use to define their success.
If they tried that in America, they'd turn it into an app and it would fuck up everything.
Oh my God.
People would just be striving to win the points on the app. It would make people insane. They'd get addicted to trying to be a better person.
But this is a vastly better metric. I'm not, a communist and all that shit, but I think that I know too many people who are very wealthy who have what I consider a poor quality of life.
Yeah.
Just because, like you say, the wealth is the point.
Yeah, they chased it.
They chased it.
And they didn't have any friends.
Right, you're
Didn't
very
have loved
wealthy.
ones.
You're hunting. You love your dog. Your dog hangs out with you like fucking Scooby-Doo. Your kids like you. You're living an adventure of a life. Now you're doing the same thing you were doing in LA in a totally different city just because you're following that gnawing feeling, I gotta be free.